Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live Q&A for this month of August. I can't believe we are almost into September. For all of you pumpkin spice lovers, I hope you've gotten your first pumpkin spice latte at this point. If not, reminder that you can go and get one. We are so thrilled to talk to you about what happens after you say yes to that next awesome assignment. Before I jump in, I'm going to introduce my incredible panel. And if you've been with us before, you know I also can't start without thanking all of you, our wonderful clinicians out there, for everything that you do every day. We're so thankful for you, for all of the patient care that you provide, and just the love and support that you give to each and every one of your patients in our hospitals across the country. So thank you. I'm going to start us off by introducing the panel. Michelle, you are on the top of my screen, so I'm going to go to you first. Tell our group a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Michelle Hernandez, and I'm a senior recruitment manager. I've been with AMN for 7 years now, and I really enjoy getting to know my nurses. I mean, they become like your family, your friends. You know everything about them. So I really enjoy just diving deep into that personal relationship and being able to help them solve their issues.
I love it. Thank you, Michelle, and welcome. So excited to hear more from you. Kenny, I'll go to you next.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Kenny, I'm our Director of Credentialing Operations. I'll have been with AMN 11 years come this October. And what I enjoy most is just hopefully making what can seem like a challenging process with credentialing, a lot more streamlined and helping each of you all along the way, every step of the way, get on assignment.
Love it. Thank you, Kenny. Excited to hear more from you, especially in this topic, which has so much to do with your team. Julie, you are last but definitely not least. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I have been with AMN for 5 years, and the thing I enjoy the most is making the difference. Whether it's a slight trip to a place you've always wanted, to you getting your first car or house, I love sharing the dream with you. So that is why I'm excited to be here.
I love it. Thank you, Julie. All right. So we have some great tenure, lots of knowledge on this podcast today. Let us know what your questions are by dropping them in the chat. Michelle, you've already gotten a great shout out that you are the best recruiter. You also love your techs. So not just your nurses, but also your techs. Thank you for that. Feel free to drop those questions in the chat. As we said, we're going to be talking a lot about what happens after I say yes. So much of the time we talk through what does our job search look like? How do I utilize my recruiter and utilize our incredible app Passport to find that perfect job? Once you found it, what happens? So we'll dive in a little bit more there. I think before I do that, though, Michelle and Julie, I would love to hear from you. How do you both work with your candidates to find that job and to find that kind of that perfect fit for them, or close to perfect? Maybe Michelle, I'll hear from you first, and then Julie, I'll come to you.
I definitely think, Saundra. Once a clinician expresses interest, I try to schedule some time to speak with them and find out what they're really looking for. Like Julie said, is it a place they've never been? Is it somewhere maybe they have family they want to go visit? Maybe they just want to get out to the beach or the mountains. So I definitely find out what it is that sparks their interest in travel, how I can help them, partnering with them on looking for jobs, find out what is on their bucket list. Is this just going to be a one-time assignment? Are they just looking for extra cash? Are they really looking to, travel the US? So once I find out a little bit more about them, I can definitely help hone in on what hospitals I have and be the expert on placing them on a location that they might feel comfortable with.
Definitely. And you hear us talk a lot about AMN Passport, our app. Julie, how do you utilize the app as part of that kind of partnership with your candidate to find that next assignment? Would love to hear.
So to add on to what Michelle said, once we, Michelle, me, our recruitment team can find out your preferences, your number one priorities, your salary, your shift, there's actually artificial intelligence automation now in AMN Passport, which helps match, even when we're sleeping, the nurse or me, as soon as the job is posted, you to that job. And I find that just incredibly exciting and a great competitive advantage for AMN. And if you haven't already signed up for it or you're curious about it, we can teach you how to do it.
I love it. Yes, great. Add in there about AMN Passport, but then also our pre-check program, which our clinicians can opt into, so that when you are looking for those job searches, as Julie mentioned, the back end can do it for you. You don't constantly have to be on there looking for that next assignment. Your recruiter doesn't have to constantly be on there. As much as Michelle and Julie would love to be awake and available for you 24/7, it's just not possible. But they can absolutely help you set that up with an AMN Passport. Feel free to scan that QR code. If you haven't downloaded and opted in already, do it today. Kenny, this seems like a perfect transition because we do have team members who are available to help our clinicians 24/7. Tell us a little bit more about after Julie and Michelle have found that perfect assignment. We've said, yes, we're absolutely excited to go. The next step in the process is really your team. So tell us more about our global workforce and how that really supports our candidates.
Yes, absolutely. So once you've said yes, a very exciting time. Obviously, we have to get onboarded and compliant and credentialed for that upcoming assignment. So what will happen is you'll receive a phone call and email from our team. What they'll do is they'll run through essentially that email that they send that'll outline exactly what you're going to need to complete to be compliant and ready to go for that assignment, or as we call it, good to go. It's going to be a list of different requirement types, medical documents, certifications, pre-start exam or modules, or really anything that is required from a state or federal or facility requirement list. And the good news is we're going to help you through that entire process. It may seem like a long list, but I will say it's not as bad as it seems. So, at first glance, it may be a bit overwhelming. But again, because you have such a good support system with AMN, we make it as streamlined as possible for you to get through. In addition to the team supporting you, you also have the self-service options that are AMN Passport. So really from each area, you're fully supported at any point in time, and literally at your fingertips, you have a tool that you can go to assist you with document uploads or even progress in terms of where you're at with the credentialing process.
Absolutely. And we might sound a little bit like an AMN Passport advertisement, but it really is a tool that we're so excited about because it helps us partner in a totally different way. It allows you to take the reins a little bit more. It allows us to kind of step in and see what do we have. Kenny, I love that you talked about it as far as the credentialing piece, because our candidates don't have to wait until they have an assignment or have said yes, which is absolutely exciting, to start uploading documents.
Absolutely. So our team will reach out to you within 24 hours of that, confirmation of saying yes and being approved for that contract. But you don't have to wait for our team, just as Saundra alluded to. You can jump right into Passport, start uploading what you have available and seeing what may be required for that upcoming assignment. What that does for us is it actually gives us the opportunity to review all that we have on file already, so that perhaps that list we send you is a little bit more condensed. And just takes a little bit more time away from us needing to go and obtain different documentation or have you complete different requirements. So it puts you one step ahead. By the time our team reaches out, we already have more on file and complete for you.
Totally. And we know that it can be a lot. The list can sometimes be very extensive. Kenny, I know you mentioned this in our prep, but also really important for our candidates to know it's not us wanting to get everything from you. It's our facilities, right, Kenny?
Yeah, so the actual AMN requirement list isn't very long, just for an employer standpoint. There's only a few items we really need, but what we do is we partner with our clients to understand exactly what they need for their hospital, for the placement, for any position. So that's one part of the list. The other two components will be any state level requirements or any federal level requirements that we have to adhere to. So those will typically be kind of the three categories of requirements that we'll need to collect. But again, we're here to support you and make sure that any questions you have with that are answered through the process.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll come back to that because I know there's some weird requirements that some state and federal guidelines, you're probably like, what is this? Or I just did this. So we'll come back to that. Michelle and Julie, I would love to hear from both of you on, even before Kenny is talking about, we accepted the assignment, we can get into Passport and start uploading documents. There are certain things that our candidates can do even prior to that as part of the job search, right? And sometimes there are items that are required even at submission. Michelle, do you want to add to that? And then Julie, I'll come to you.
With my clinicians, I recommend that they get their BLS uploaded, ACLS, or their COVID card if they have one, as well as their license or certification right away, because like you said, some of the facilities do require that be in the system before we can even submit them, because those are part of the upload process. So those are a few of the things that I recommend they do. As well, some of them do require getting a reference on file. It's better to get it prior, because then your list is going to be, like Kenny said, just a little bit shorter. So anything we can do to help you really get that ball rolling and have a shorter list definitely helps. Once you say yes, you'll have, less to do. So that's always pleasing for everyone.
Totally. Julie, what would you add to that?
I find that putting your driver's license in is a good step, because a lot of facilities want to know if you live within 50 miles. If you are within a certain radius of the facility, then you either are qualified or not qualified to be a traveler. So they determine your status. And I would like to emphasize the references, like Michelle said. That's one of the longest pieces of getting you submitted. Without a reference, some places won't even look at your file. So, just imagine leapfrogging other people that don't have references. You'll be on the top. So I encourage you to do that too.
Yeah, definitely. And such a good tip there. For some of our more tenured travelers, they may feel like, what the heck happened? Because I didn't have to have all this stuff 2 years ago, 3 years ago for sure. And 4 years ago, absolutely not. I could pretty much just show up to the assignment. What happened, Kenny? Because we are seeing a little bit of a difference as far as the level of credentialing items that are required, and even references and things like that as well.
Yeah, coming out of the pandemic, we have definitely seen an uptick in requirement stringency, as well as state regulatory requirements, such as additional background screenings. We have seen more states go towards perhaps a fingerprint process, right? We have to go and obtain a live scan fingerprint and be approved to be employed in the state, in addition to the facility background screening requirements. So we definitely have seen a bit of an uptick in stringency around requirements following the pandemic. But nonetheless, nothing we can't overcome together.
Totally. We can work through it together. And I think that is what's such a great highlight of working with our team. You're getting it already from Michelle and Julie and Kenny, but you do truly have a team of your recruiter, your credentialing analyst. You have other people that are further on in the process that will help you with the payroll components and other pieces that are really critical in order to get you started. I know, Michelle, you were talking a lot about how you talk to your candidates about that team element, particularly when it comes to credentialing. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Gosh, I'm really fond of our new global workforce. We used to have just one person, and if they were on PTO or if they were out of office for any reason, you had to wait for that person to either come back or the person to know exactly where they left off. But now with the new global workforce, you have someone typically on the weekends that's available your hours. So I always like to let my clinicians know that whenever they're getting that first email, to hit reply to everyone, because then anyone can really jump in, and the number of times they have to repeat themselves is just minimal. They don't have to continually go, well, I sent this to this person, and it just really streamlines everything. I've been really fond of it because I've been able to move my clinicians, like Kenny said, good to go much quicker, because there's multiple people jumping in along with myself, helping them through passport, getting their documents signed as soon as they say yes. That just really helps move and uptick everything. So I really like our global workforce personally.
Yes, definitely. Someone that's always available and there to help you. Julie, what would you add as far as that team element or anything else about what we've talked about so far?
I would just like to applaud what Michelle said. I really feel like AMN treats each traveler like they're a family member. So if your uncle, your grandmother, your aunt is trying to get from London to Los Angeles, I mean, this is the kind of process that a travel nurse has to go through. And we are there pretty much every step of the way. The global workforce helps 24/7. And then your recruiter is on top of that to make sure that there are, things that no one has thought of perhaps yet or can foresee in the future, that we need to have certain things in your file by a certain date. These are all teamwork items. So I just wanted to say we're basically a family that really cares.
I love that, Julian. Such a good ad. I think in addition to that, we also look for areas that we can consistently improve. And we hear you when something's not going the way that you want it to. Nothing is more frustrating than, like Michelle said, having to re-explain yourself 5 different times with something that you know you've already completed. Kenny, talk to us a little bit more about what that training aspect looks like for our credentialing team and just continuing to grow and develop so that we can help our clinicians in the best way possible.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is have you duplicate any efforts you already have, right? We know you're busy, you're likely working or in between assignments and traveling, and the last thing you need to be doing is, submitting documents that you already have or that you feel like you have had before. So what we do is we make sure that our team reviews what we have prior to requesting anything, right? So we'll go into the file and double check what is already uploaded within our internal system and cross-reference that to the facility requirements. And sometimes when that duplication comes up, it may feel that you've already submitted a TB test, so why would I need another one? We do have some clients who have a frequency to start requirement that's a little more stringent than per se an annual requirement, which is quite standard for, say, a TB test or a physical. Some may run it within 30 days of a start date. And if you're starting an assignment every 13 weeks, that's going to start to feel a little repetitive. And we completely understand that. And one of the biggest things we do push with clients is standardization and streamline requirements. And we are seeing a lot more of our client contacts go towards that route because they understand the benefit and the clinician experience that goes along with that. If there is a requirement that you do have to repeat, we are also here to support that. We can help get you set up. We have a clinic network that we partner with. And it makes it a lot easier than perhaps you having to, go and do that on your own. So again, it just goes back to the support that we offer and trying to make what can seem like a difficult process as easy on you as possible.
Totally. And I love, Kenny, that you brought that up because even conversations that I've had with clinicians, there is an element of frustration of, I just did this. Why do I need to do this again? And while we don't want to push the blame, so to speak, onto our facilities, they do have some pretty strict guidelines. And it usually comes from a place of, we didn't ask for this before, and it was a really negative experience for us. So a lot of the things that you're asked for come from the facility saying, this is really what we believe is needed in order to ensure we have the best possible match to take care of our patients. And at the end of the day, that's why all of us are here, is to support getting the right candidate, the right clinician to the bedside so that you can support patient care. And I think at least for me, and I'm pretty sure for Michelle, Kenny, and Julie, that is the driver for us. And that is kind of that constant in the back of our mind is this the person that we really want there? Yes, absolutely. Let's help you get there each step of the way. Michelle and Julie, would love to go back to you all as well. Michelle, you're already off mute, so if you have something to add in, go for it. Go for it.
I was going to say that if you're a clinician and you're watching, definitely procrastination is not your friend in the credentialing process. The sooner you can get stuff uploaded, the quicker you can ask questions, try your logins, make sure everything works, because there are some things that will need to maybe get you remediated, or you may have to request a new login, or maybe you're not working on the right device. Don't wait for the last minute before you start. If you're going to be out of town, do not forget to let your credentialing team know, your recruiter know. That's a big one that people always forget. And then if anything comes up, I always say, don't ghost your recruiter. Let us know what's going on. We've heard it all before. We're here to help you. We just want to make sure that we can assist along the way. But if we don't know what the obstacles are, then we can't help you.
Such a good ad, Michelle. And Julie, would love to hear from you as well. But I think one thing to really highlight on what Michelle said is to communicate with us and let us know what's going on. don't procrastinate. I think at any point in this process, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that as well. But if there is something that you have to have, or it has to be redone, we don't want to wait until the last minute to do that, because what happens, right, Michelle or Kenny, is then we end up with a postponement, and then you're kind of at the whim of when the facility has their next orientation. That could be the following Monday, or more likely it's going to be a couple of weeks, sometimes even a month. And we're not always prepared for that full month of not being able to work. So really, really, really make sure that you take heed with Michelle's advice there, and don't procrastinate on your credentialing piece. You can also do so much before you even say yes to your assignment. Julie, would love for you to add in.
Oh, I just wanted to say that for all of the great staff that you have to support you, credentialing is not perfect. And if we just admit that to ourselves right off the bat, that, getting the things done sooner than later is super important, because just like traffic, something's going to creep up. And it's almost like you have to anticipate that and build in extra time to get to your destination. So I do recommend that you think about that and try to get things done the very first week. And I think your recruiter is going to also help you with that timeline.
Yeah, definitely. Would love for you all to add to that procrastination piece. And I am a huge procrastinator. I thrive under the pressure. I feel like I can really just crush it when I procrastinate. But I know in certain instances, like Julie's talking about, if I don't want to be late, I got a plan for 40 minutes with traffic, right? Even though it's just 10 miles down the road. For those of you who live in big cities, that's a definite possibility to spend 40 minutes going 10 miles. But Julie and Michelle, this is important even on the submission process of not procrastinating, especially in today's market. Julie, maybe I'll ask you first to kind of elaborate on that, and Michelle would love your points after.
Sure, Saundra. What we're seeing here is it's a very facility favored environment right now. I mean, back 4 years ago, it was very nurse favorable. They wanted you, if you had a degree, you were in. But right now I'm seeing 30 qualified applicants for one job posting. That means you have to have a perfect file to leapfrog everyone else. And we're here to help you with that. And you can help yourself by loading everything into Passport and getting it so it's completely ready to send out.
Perfect add-in, Julie. And I think, Michelle, I'd love to hear from you. Something that you highlighted was getting things updated. Even if this is something that you're considering, you're thinking, gosh, maybe I do want to take a travel assignment. Maybe right now is not exactly the time, but I'm thinking about it. Why not get your licenses, your BLS, your ACLS, some of those things that Julie and Michelle talked about, loaded into Passport? It does work as kind of a wallet for you also. So even if you don't take a travel assignment with us, you have everything in one place that is really easy to send where it's needed. Michelle, would love to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with everything that the both of you, Julie, when you said, to get everything loaded, and Saundra, when you said that wallet, I mean, that really helps the clinician. Just even for us as recruiters, updating your work history, making sure if there's any gaps that you took time off, because those are things that are going to prevent you from getting a job, getting an interview, and other people getting into and applying for those jobs before you can actually apply due to missing work history. That stuff does get looked at prior to us sending your application. So if your files are not getting sent, then that could possibly be, why. Same thing for credentialing. If you're not showing that you're serious about getting credentialed, you're constantly getting postponed, the facility might just cancel you. And like Saundra said, unless you have a budget, and maybe the next orientation is not for a month, you definitely want to get on it so that the facility knows that you're serious about getting on assignment on time. Your recruiter knows, and you're just displaying that sense of urgency, because we do know who is the travelers that are always getting things done on time and who are the travelers that are always lagging. Believe it or not, that's something that, we also have a sense of, and we're trying to figure out, are they really committed? What's going on? So communication, and chip away at your modules. The first day you get it, log in, see if there's something you can complete. Some of the modules are 10-15 minutes. So if you have 10-15 minutes before or after work, I recommend starting them immediately.
I love all that you just said, Michelle. Such great points. And Kenny, I think you wanted to add here as far as some of what Michelle was saying.
Yes, absolutely. And I think when it comes to just urgency around certain requirements, the best advice I can give is consider what's going to take time to process. Right? So you may have completed your piece, but then there are going to be results that have to go to a lab and process and come back. There's a lot of different hands in the pot that can be uncontrollable to you or even AMN in the credentialing process. So immediately complete your background authorization because that takes time to process. Same with any medical or drug screen results. And as Michelle mentioned, same with modules, right? Make sure that your login and password are working. If not, we can make sure that we get ahead of that immediately because it's going to take you time to work through modules. Different clients have different timelines or numbers of modules depending on positions, but nonetheless, you're going to have to set some time aside to complete that. The good news is doing that ahead of time gets you onto the unit faster. So it shortens the orientation time once you're on site, but it does create a little more time and pre-work ahead of the assignment. So I think proactivity is the biggest thing, and just urgency to initiate the process with some of those requirements. It's the best advice I can give.
Love that, Kenny. Julie, go ahead.
I was just going to add that if you get your requirements done early, there could be a possibility you could start earlier. So, there is an advantage to going ahead and just knocking it all out and then, seeing if we can roll that start date forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. And anywhere that we can support you, we know that this is your livelihood. We know that you work because you need to make the money to take care of all of the things, right? Maybe it's just that bucket assignment place that you've always wanted to go. Or maybe it is that you're trying to save for a house or a car. We know there's reasons that you need to work and we want to help you get there. Michelle, what would you add?
I was just going to say the part that a lot of clinicians maybe don't know is how to report in progress. So I always say, stay in touch with me and your credentialing team at least once or twice a week. If we don't hear from you, we don't know what you're working on. So let us know, send us a list, send us screenshots. I think screenshots are great, especially of any certificates that you've completed for any of the modules, because some of those are required that we see that you've completed them. So if you can screenshot anything you've signed or anything that you have completed and send it to us, check in once or twice a week. That will help move the needle.
Perfect. It's just like working at the hospital, right? You always have those check-ins with your fellow team of nurses, with the doctors, with the residents, with whoever is coming in, with the patient's family. It's kind of the same team aspect of we all want to know what's going on so that we can continue to support each other. And how do we get to that next step? How do we get onto assignment or good to go? And we all are part of that process for you and can support any questions that you have. Gosh, guys, we are almost at the end of our time. This has gone so fast. I would love to hear from each of you. There's been a lot that we've talked about as far as the Passport app and how we can utilize that to really help aid with our credentialing lists and getting things uploaded ahead of time. We've talked about the power of the team and just keeping everybody updated. What's maybe one last piece of advice that you would give to this group? Julie, you came off mute so fast, so I will go to you first. What's one last kind of piece of advice that you would give to all of our listeners?
Well, I think it's really important to know that Passport's great for a job when you have accepted and yes, but it's so good for searching for jobs. We have over 10,000 jobs. We have new ones in there every day that get put in overnight. I mean, your dream assignment could appear and you don't even need me as a recruiter to find it. You can be watching and looking, and I will be doing it too. So I encourage you to use it.
Love that. Download Passport, opt in for pre-check, get your documents loaded. Julie is there to help you, and so is Michelle. Kenny, I'll come to you next.
Yeah, don't let the credentialing process overwhelm you. We have a lot of tools, a lot of tenured folks who can support. And once you're in through the first assignment, that the first assignment may seem like there's a lot of work you have to do. Every assignment after that, it'll be a lot less, right? There may be certain items that you have to update. There may be certain items that you have to complete that are specific to that hospital, but it wouldn't be the lengthy list that you received that first time, right? Because we're already going to have certain things on file. We already know you. We know how great you are, and we can help support that as well. So that's another just piece of advice I'd like to share.
Yeah. And Kenny, I think you would probably add to this as well, but it may be your first time being credentialed for this facility. It's your first time being credentialed with AMN, but I say this with all of the love and care. It's not our first time, right? And we're here to help you and make it easier in the process. So trust an element of that expertise as well. We're here to support you. All right. And Michelle, what would you say last? And you have more support. Hannah C is here to support you. Michelle, you're her recruiter. So hello. Michelle, what's that one last piece of advice you would give to our listeners?
Yeah, I would just say there's no dumb question. Call me anytime. I always end with that when I hang up and let my clinicians know, because I want them to know that there is an open door and that any question that they have, I'm here to help and support. They can't, call me enough. I let them know if I don't answer, you get my voicemail, I'm probably on the other line. So once I free up, I will give you a call or send me a text, but I'm always here to support, and there's no dumb questions.
I love that. Such great advice from all of you. I'm so thankful for this panel, and hopefully all of you who are listening learned a lot. If you're not quite sure if you want to travel yet, make sure that you also go on to Instagram and follow us at AMN Nurse. You can see all of the amazing things that our clinicians are doing. I know I get jealous all the time when I'm on there. Michelle, Julie, Kenny, same. Yeah. So make sure that you follow us at AMN Nurse. Keep in touch with us and download AMN Passport so that we can help you with that next travel assignment. Thank you all again for joining. Thank you for everything that you do, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.